Hey everybody. Did I cut off Lo-Fi Girl for everybody or did I just cut it off for me? Ah, there we go. Now she's gone. All right. So, hey everyone, thanks for joining. Our fearless leader Kent is on vacation this week, and so the TMDC, the rest of the committee, minus Kent, was just meeting, and we don't have an agenda for this call, but we just wanted to come here and be available to answer any questions or just see if there's anything that the community would like from us, the TMDC, and give that opportunity to folks without just canceling the meeting, saying, hey, we're not meeting. So is there anybody? You can raise your hand. We'll bring you up on stage. Is there anything that anybody would like to express or question to ask? John or Prof. Mixie, would you add anything?
Well, I guess just as by way of kind of bringing up a topic, and this is something we talked about before, and I should have prepared something for today, but I'm sick, unfortunately. But talking about some sort of supplemental reward token, so the introduction of some sort of source cred grain kind of thing that would both be an automatic kind of reward system for people contributing in different discords and different forums and proposals and things like that, but would also be something where people could react with like specific emoji, and that would kind of give people some rewards that way as well. So that's just kind of been something on my mind as we've been kind of slogging through this bear market, and as we want to make sure that we're properly incentivizing and rewarding all of the different contributors, be they work stream leaders or be they full-time staff, or if they're just a part-time contributor or something like that. So that's just something where, since we're here, could get like some market sentiment in terms of, so Giveth does this, so Willie has some experience with this, and I think they did it a lot at the beginning, and I think they've switched away from it, but did seem like it was pretty effective. And I don't know, I just feel like it could be a fun way to kind of re-energize maybe some of the more dormant members of our community who have been a little bit disincentivized by the price action or whatever the case may be. But it would also involve the introduction of like a new currency that we'd have to manage, essentially. Like we'd have to manage the exchange rate of it and so on and so forth, redemptions and things like that. So it's not without a cost.
I like the idea, Professor, and I think it'd be a great proposal. We could always like experiment. We don't have to allocate a ton of Fox to it initially, but I think
right.
I think it'd be a cool experiment. I think a challenge with a lot of this too is figuring out like, okay, who's actually going to spearhead this and manage it. Knowing that right now a lot of the work streams have pared down and are very focused on their own priorities. So I think this is something that there is a lot of interest in, but part of the question is like, all right, who's going to actually be responsible for maintaining this? One of the cool things about the source cred is we wouldn't have to necessarily create a brand new token. The source credit at least is all, you just get these points that can then be converted. I'm not sure how Giveth was ever doing it automatically. When I was doing it with Giveth, we basically, and this could be something that works similarly for us, where previously at Giveth, we would take 1/12 of our runway and we would just allocate that to all the contributors each month based on their like proportional contributions. And we would use things like source cred and praise to estimate, basically give people a percentage score. So it would all add up to 100%. And we basically give like each contributor who contributed meaningfully would get some percent of this pie every month. And how big the pie was just based on how much we had in our treasury. So we could do something similar to that. And I think source cred is a good tool for this. I think Coordinate as well could be the tool for actually taking these scores and then turning it and having a pot of funds that we then distribute. It is also very important to, like, even with the automated cases, as far as I've seen, there's always still been like a human element. So somebody who goes in and reviews and makes sure that it seems accurate and that there's not any gaming going on or anything. But yeah, I do think that is one of the gaps in our DAO that I would like to see us improve. Is right now we have bounties and we have salaried positions, but we are missing this ability just to reward one-off contributions retroactively and to let community members know that, hey, if you do contribute meaningfully, there is this pot of funds dedicated towards these types of contributions. And we can figure out if it's anything or specifically for things that are people going above and beyond basically their existing role.
Yeah, what was that other one that you said besides source cred that would help with it?
And Coordinate. And we had tried Coordinate a while ago. Seth had set it up.
What's the history of this with us, or this kind of stuff with us? What's been our pain points? What's been our sticking points?
Yeah, so initially DeFi Seth got really excited when he heard about Coordinate and thought it'd be useful for the DAO. So he made a proposal to basically set Coordinate up and help onboard any workstream that was interested. And this actually is a good, I think is a good point as well, is that previously it was, first of all, it was up to each workstream and any, this is another part of Seth's proposal, is he had set aside, he had requested a budget of 100,000 Fox at the time, and any workstream that wanted to get onboarded could get their proportion of that Fox based on how much of that, how much their budget was relative to the DAO's total monthly workstream budget. So there were some work streams, I think education, I think marketing and globalization all tried it out. I'm not sure if any other work streams tested it. And I don't think, none of them really have continued using it since then. So I think there are mixed results and stuff, but none of them felt that it was valuable enough to at least take to fund with their own budget. But I think we also, I think there's room for improvement there. Like, I think there is room for a community-wide kind of bucket that doesn't come out of any workstream specific budget, but is just a proposal of its own with a budget of its own.
Right.
And Coordinate has evolved quite a bit since then. So we were testing them in the pretty early stages. But TLDR of how it works is basically you get, you can choose to make, to include any address in these monthly distributions. And then basically with Coordinate, every contributor that's part of this pool has like 100 points to allocate, and everyone can kind of collectively weigh in to say like, oh, I think this person deserves some of the extra points from this pot. So thinking through it, Coordinate may not be that useful. Coordinate would be more useful if we wanted to have kind of a broader committee, multiple stakeholders decide how to allocate that pot. If we wanted to have more of an automated system and a dedicated person to go through and determine how much of the pot to allocate to each individual, Coordinate may not be the best tool for that.
Yeah, I mean, the other nice thing I think about source cred or those kind of like data analytic projects that would be internal to us is they also provide a really good metric for, engagements and kind of activity within the DAO. And also, I mean, we could kind of also use similar kind of analysis tools for VFox and other kind of, when we're looking at other partnerships and things like that. And kind of, we've already had a bit of anecdotal stuff like this, like, oh, there hasn't been any activity in this Discord for this much, and oh, the leaders haven't been saying anything, you know. But I think there's a lot of interesting decentralized kind of managerial monitoring that we could accomplish through something like this. But I do think you're right that, like, at least at the beginning, it needs a champion. It needs somebody that's gonna be, you know, the person that's updating and iterating and validating, making sure nobody's gaming the system, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in it, but it's one of those things where if we've tried something like it and it didn't work, I guess I would want to talk to those people who were around for that and ask them why it didn't work. You know, was it too unwieldy to manage? Were the incentives not big enough? Was it really just because it was out of their budget compared to, you know, just inherently, if it's not out of your budget, you're gonna be less likely to care about spending it and tipping it and things like that, right? So if that was the issue, but I'm a little worried that it's something maybe deeper, and we don't want to throw, you know, more time and resources after something that, you know, we've already kind of tried and it didn't pick up for whatever reason. And maybe it is just gonna, you know, it needs to be a DAO wide kind of thing, rather than workstream specific. It also does seem like SourceCred is different than Coordinate in terms of, Coordinate seems more like a kind of broad-based committee reward system, whereas SourceCred is more like, it's like a lot of the weird managerial spyware software that, you know, companies are making their work from home workers download, right? And that's why everybody's downloading mouse jigglers and things like that, so they can get around these these corporate spy things. But obviously we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't have people install spyware. But it's a similar kind of, you know, how do you track and how do you make sure that the agents, so in this case all the contributors of the DAO, are aligned with the priorities and the focus of the principle, which is the DAO, which are the decentralized priorities that we all vote on. So I think we still have some work to do in terms of making sure that those are always aligned.
Totally. I do think this kind of what you're proposing is different enough from Coordinate that just because Coordinate didn't work out doesn't mean this wouldn't work out. But I do think, to your point, we might be able to learn some from talking to those work streams that did try Coordinate. We can get some feedback from them to figure out how we can DAO it better this next time. Yeah,
because especially if there's still similar people in those work streams and stuff like that, you know, we just don't want to try the same thing and expect different results. But yeah, things are iterating, and then also, you know, it's different conditions. You know what I mean? I mean, I think these things probably work very differently in bear and bull markets, right, and in sideways markets. So I mean, that's also something to be studied and something to be, you know, figured out later. This is all very new kind of stuff, right?
Totally. I think every DAO is really trying to figure out how to effectively and equitably compensate all their contributors. It's certainly not an easy challenge. But SourceCred is a great tool, and SourceCred we don't necessarily need to. We could take this in some steps, and SourceCred could be a great thing for us to just set up. Period. Right now, I guess we're about to migrate away from Discourse tonight. But basically, SourceCred will just take. Right now, it's all public data, so we don't have to worry about any spyware stuff. It's just Discord contributions, GitHub, and Discourse, which Discourse will be going away, but we could still be able to at least get retroactive history. From Discourse. Yeah, it could be cool just to set those, to integrate with GitHub, integrate with Discord, integrate with Discourse, and at least start getting some scores so we can see that data and see if there's any contributors that are contributing meaningfully that aren't getting rewarded, and then decide at that point if we want to use that as a tool to actually help allocate that pot of funds and establish a pot of funds and use SourceCred to help allocate it.
Right.
It's tricky though.
Well, I think the next steps are for you and I to kind of think and talk and see if we can talk to some of those people that use Coordinate. Because that's kind of the main thing I want to kind of get settled before we go further. But I'd be down. I mean, I think it's really interesting, and I think it's you know, part of the core of the DAO to do things like this and the core of tokenomics.
Agreed. And we've got a lot of Fox. So if we can figure out ways to leverage that Fox to reward community members to contribute and then turn them into owners, it is a really valuable thing for us to get right. So yeah, I would love to work with you on this, and I appreciate you spearheading it. Something I've been thinking about for a while, but haven't had bandwidth to prioritize myself. So if you're willing to spearhead this, that would be awesome.
Yeah. No, I am. Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, what else? What else? John, do you have any, or is there anybody in the audience? I guess I haven't been checking the chat as we've been chatting here. Setting up source code is fairly technical. Yeah, I figured. Foxbot, economy. Okay. Okay, we can talk. We can try to figure it out.
Jen, can I bet?
Yeah, that was.
I was going to say, Kai from Giveth was the one who set it up for Giveth, and I'm sure he'd be happy to help ShapeShift set it up for pretty cheap if we want to prioritize this. As another topic, do you guys just want to give a quick update? I've heard a lot of chatter around the bonds, and I know a lot of us, especially in the bear market, when we're seeing the Fox price go down, are curious around the bonds and kind of what the plans are. And I'd even heard recently, like, I think it's good just to remind the community maybe around the state of this loan, because that is the main reason that we're doing these bonds. But I'm not sure if everyone has context around that. So would you guys be willing just to give a quick update on bonds and some of the other alternatives that we've been exploring?
Ooh, John, I think this is
yeah.
you.
Yeah, go for it, John.
I'm happy to jump in and do that. So yeah, we were just talking. I mean, we talk about this every Tuesday and Thursday at the TMDC, but the kind of state of things is that we continue to use these bonds to basically pay down our RARI loan. The principal on that loan is now under 500K, which is great. This was, nearly double that not that long ago. So we had the other loan, which we also paid off. So we're making great progress on that front. But yeah, the plan is not to necessarily continue these bonds forever. It's to hopefully pay down these loans and then either stop or adjust them significantly lower. But we also are talking with both Arbor and Hourglass. Both are options to potentially issue basically a fixed term bond. It would basically be a fixed term loan where we put up some Fox's collateral and get a loan at a fixed price or a fixed interest rate for somewhere in the range of 12 or even up to 18 plus months we'd probably explore. So that would be, and if we did that, we'd basically be able to refi the rest of this RARI loan and shut off these bonds and any sell pressure that may result from that a lot sooner. So we are just in talks with them now and potentially being launch partners with those projects and still in early stages. So there's no commitments or guarantees of anything yet. But if that was successful, it might allow us to refi this RARI loan as well as bolster the DAO stablecoin treasury, all with non-liquidatable fixed term loans. So that's pretty cool. And that's kind of the next thing that we are looking into with these projects at the moment. Happy to, if anyone else wants to add on to that, but that's the kind of concise version of everything going on there.
Great overview. Thank you.
And if anyone has any questions or thoughts on any of this, always feel free to show your face at any of the TMDC meetings, which are always open to the public. And let us hear what you got to say or think about that. But I think either way, we're on a good track with these things. I think we can also see, even just like in the market activity today, just how closely related the Fox price remains with the rest of the market. We have a good day in the market. Fox seems to have a good day too. So really whatever sell pressure or price action we're worried about, and I know Ken says this a lot, and I'm still a firm believer that even if we have zero sell pressure from bonds, we shouldn't expect to see a big change in the buy or sell pressure unless the macro around us changes. And when it does, we should expect that it will probably follow that. So I don't think anything we're going to do is going to change that. But at least, if we can cut off needing to continually sell Fox from the treasury, that's great if we can.
Yeah, I'd say we're aware of emissions, and we're working our way towards minimizing them as quickly as possible until things get better for a significant amount of time. To use Fed speak.
We're going to pivot.
The other thing I've been thinking about, if nobody else has any topics, and maybe we should table this or whatever, but I just know that we need to figure this out, is we still need to figure out our incentives and stuff for our multi-sigs, right? Like we gotta like that just kind of died on the vine, right? And that's something where, we're still heavily relying on some legacy members that, are really only incentivized by other positions or their large bags, and we, for the longevity and sustainability of the DAO, we need to figure out a solution to that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's close enough to tokenomics that, we could at least broach that and kind of try to brainstorm it sometimes, or I'll try to start the conversation going on the forum this afternoon again.
Yeah, it's a good point. That is something that needs to still be figured out. It's kind of in stasis right now. I think Michael working on it, just had other priorities, and so didn't push it forward yet. But hopefully we can figure that out soon.
Yeah, if you could.
Yeah, I see that as a weak link in our operations. You know what I mean? So I worry about that. It's one of the few things that keeps me up at night with regards to the DAO.
Yeah. I was trying to see if Michael had posted that yet in the forum, because if you could help push him on that now that
I will.
Yeah, that would be great. Appreciate that, Professor. Another thing too that reminds me of is the Fox Rune token swap. That got approved a while ago, and we ran into some issues with being able to execute that. But especially with the Thorchain integration in the new app, I think it'd be very beneficial for us to execute that token swap and provide some liquidity to that pool. Plus, it's another revenue stream for the DAO. We'd have $2 million in that pool earning potentially, let's see what the interest rate is right now.
Yeah, we need every validator and revenue stream we can churn up right now.
Right now,
Plant
the
those
APR
seeds.
15% on that. It'd probably go down if we deposited more liquidity there. But yeah, it'd be a solid revenue stream and would provide more liquidity for Fox. So just something else that we need to push forward on.
Yeah, any downsides to that come to mind that we need to be aware of?
There's just protocol risk.
Right.
But Thorchain's pretty battle tested at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they've been one of our partners for a while now, right?
That's right. Yeah, and the idea with that token swap was that we would swap $1 million of Fox for $1 million worth of Rune, and then both projects would deposit $2 million into the Fox Rune liquidity pool, so increasing that pool by 4 million. Right now, there's only 200K in that pool, so it would increase it significantly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said this in the last call, it's like we've got to do something with it. I mean, we don't have to, but I'd like to see our Fox put to use. And, providing liquidity and earning a return seems like a double win. Unless anybody has any pressing concerns about Thorchain. We should probably put that on the agenda for Thursday, GK, if you wouldn't mind.
I'll follow up with Michael about it right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's less of a TMDC thing, more of just we need to the treasury needs to execute it. Multisig needs to execute it and set up a multisig on the Rune network, so that because we would need to be able to receive native Rune and provide liquidity.
Oh.
And then we had tried
that
to set this up. We actually uncovered some bugs initially in the Thorchain network with that multisig stuff. But I think we have a path now. We just need to spend some time on it. So I'll ping him right now.
Are you sure you need to whoever's going to put up the Rune, right? Because if we just put in Fox, you could do that asymmetrically, but no, this is us with Fox, them with an equal amount of Rune, right?
Exactly. And we would the Thorchain multisig would hold our rune. And so we need to set that up so that we could hold it and then provide liquidity from that so that the DAO effectively owns its Fox rune liquidity. We could provide the Fox from Ethereum mainnet, but for the native rune, we need that on Thorchain. And we either need a multisig or we'd have to trust an individual address, which we don't want to do.
Yep. And
I guess thinking out loud, we probably want to do the 2 of 3 at that point too, which is coupled with the proposal that Professor was talking about. Because right now we have 2 of 2 on the DAO's treasury, and the reason that is okay is because we have the safe snap implemented, so token holders can execute transactions. Let's say I get hit by a bus, the token holders can execute the transactions to update the multisig without the multisig. So that's why 2 of 2 is okay. However, 2 of 3 is still more ideal so that we can be more nimble. Right now with 2 of 2, it requires both of the signers to be available to execute a transaction. With 2 of 3, we'd have the ability for one signer to actually go away and actually go on vacation and not have to bring their signing equipment, or just have more likelihood that we'd be able to move nimbly if we ever needed to. But for the Thorchain, we don't have that safe snap implemented. So setting up 2 of 2, I think would be risky, and it'd be better if we could instead set up 2 of 3, which would require that other proposal, both compensating, which includes compensating the multisig, but also adding an additional signer. So yeah, let's see if we can push forward that proposal to the multisig signers.
And that way we can get some liquidity on the Thorchain. Very nice. Yeah, we definitely don't want to be spreading more of this vulnerability to other chains. We want to try to fix it first. Well, that's all I got for all you folks out there, dear listeners.
Looks like no questions from the community or topics today.
Yeah, nothing else for me at the moment. I think we can end this early since this was just an impromptu kind of update with Kent out. We should be back to our regular programming next week.
Thanks, Prof.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, really.
Thanks, everybody.
Josh. Thanks, Joe. All right.
Cheers.
Take her easy. Cheers.